Now, following the death of a former Joburg Mayor, Mpho Moerane, ANC officials in Gauteng have urged their members not to despair. Moerane died on Wednesday in hospital after a horrific car crash the week before. On Friday afternoon, the ANC held a memorial service in his birthplace of Alexandra, where family, friends and comrades met at his home to remember him. Joining us now to pay tribute is the former MMC of Finance for Johannesburg, Matshidiso Mfikoe. Matshidiso, thank you so much for your time and thank you for joining us. An emotional week, certainly, for the Moerane family, for friends and former colleagues of the late Joburg Mayor. But can you recall what went through your mind when you heard the news of his passing?
Good morning and thank you very much for having us. I went into a total black moment. A moment of unbelievable situation. And I was sitting with my younger sister and I said to her, this is not happening. I just can't believe life without Mpho. Because for me, he was not a former mayor. He was not a former councillor. And even a person in the RSC. Me and him have been friends outside the politics. I've known him for 10 to 11 years. You know, so for me it was a total painful and hurtful moment when the news came through.
You know, we've heard countless tributes for the late mayor come in already, many who worked with him recalling the role that he played as an emotional support structure after the loss of the former Mayor Jolidi Madongo. He was in office for a short while from October to November, but it seemed he played a critical role for the people in elected official positions in that council, not only as an emotional support structure, but as a visionary, certainly, on where to take the city next.
Yeah, he was a very supportive person. As I'm saying, he was my friend, so I have my own personal support moments that he had given me. I mean, in 2015, when we admitted my mom at the hospital, he was the first person that came, you know, literally called him and said, hey, Mzala, I'm taking mommy to hospital, she's not well, at night. And he said, where are you? You know, where are you? And when I told him where we were, like a moment later, he is here, you know, being very supportive, a service delivery champion. The Joburg residents would have felt him. He was all over the show, pushing service delivery, pushing that we must resolve community-related issues. So he indeed was somebody that we enjoyed working with. Very funny person, by the way. You know, very, very funny. He would take you out of the situation that was very dicey with a joke, you know, and it would make it so light that you become determined to do the work. So we as his friend would not have lost him only, but I think the Joburg residents has also lost a person who was going to assist us in managing and forging ahead in resolving their issues.
I mean, you've called him a service delivery champion, and as I mentioned, in the short time span that he enjoyed as mayor of the city, he had already put forward so many plans to revitalize the city and to move it forward, certainly in terms of its development and its infrastructure. I think we notoriously all recall the energy plan that he had to reduce the city of Joburg's dependency on Eskom for power supply. So just talk to us about that, his history in, you know, infrastructure, his passion for developing the city, for making it a world-class city, as he often mentioned.
Look, he's lively on call, and I hope the leadership of the city of Johannesburg, in his memory, would indeed implement the energy plan that will look at us taking out the Soweto residents, even the people supplied by City Power, from the challenges that Eskom is giving us. He was very, very passionate about resolving the energy situation in our townships. You know, he had the agreement that was signed between Mayor Madongo. He proceeded with it, with the private entities to sort out the potholes in the city. He launched the climate change plan and with the late Mayor Makubu, and make sure that the departments were responding to climate change issues. So those for me were critical plans that he had. You know, if we can respond and mitigate against climate change, we would have resolved the problems in the city so much. You know, sort out the energy issues. including the day-to-day basic service delivery programs that he had. You know, upon taking office, we did service delivery Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, you know, just to be out there with city officials and communities in managing your day-to-day service delivery issues. So if we could proceed with those issues as the city of Johannesburg, just to say to him, as you lay to rest, as you sleep, everlasting sleep, these are the programs that you championed, and we will continue with them, you know, in the service of the people that he so loved, people of Joburg that he so cared for. I would really be happy for that.
You know, Matshidiso, we've also heard a number of comrades and old colleagues refer to his life as a life cut short, almost getting the sense that he was only really starting to get his work done, to accomplish some of the objectives and goals that he had certainly for the running of the city. We know that he had expressed his intentions to contest for regional chairperson in the upcoming regional elective conference. Coming out of that policy document briefing that we had yesterday, where the renewal of the organization is such a key issue for the ANC, is that something that Mpho Moerane would have championed as a regional chairperson?
Look, he would, and all of us would as well, because renewal of the ANC is not just an individual's responsibility. It's all of us collectively as members of the ANC, making sure that we work for the successful implementation of the renewal of the organization, because our communities are still dependent on the ANC to continue creating a better life for them, for the ANC to make sure that all the policies and programs that we have, creating a non-racial society, a non-sexist society, including a society that is prosperous, remains a commitment that all of us who are members of the ANC would need to implement. So for me, it is not just about an individual, but we would have handled that collectively as leaders and members of the ANC, so that the ANC becomes the vehicle that our communities expect it to be in making sure that we deal with the shackles of poverty, we deal with issues of crime and everything else that is affecting them negatively, but critically strengthening and building an ANC that they will be proud of.
Now, we know that some ANC Gauteng officials, top ANC Gauteng officials, have come out to encourage other public servants to emulate Mpho Moerane in their actions, in their conduct, in the manner in which they serve the different wards, regions, cities, whichever public office they may be occupying, to serve the people of that area to the best of their ability. And for me, that sparks a conversation around legacy. So what sort of legacy would you say Mpho Moerane has left behind for the people of Johannesburg?
He has left behind a legacy of commitment, a legacy of ensuring that we serve, and we serve with pride, a legacy that ensures that we are there for our communities that have elected us. Because he was indeed there for the communities. He was a leader that led by example. You know, as much as he allowed us to occupy our own spaces, but he did lead us by example. So what I would say is that let us take that from him and say, in his memory, we will continue his legacy of making sure that we are there and we are accountable to our communities and our constituencies.
Right, that is a former MMC of Finance for the city of Johannesburg, Matshidiso Mfikoe, joining us there to pay her last respects and tribute to the late Johannesburg Mayor Mpho Moerane.